So my guest today, Allison Comer with Muse Knoxville, Executive Director. And it's such a delight to talk to you because you all have so many wonderful things that are just in the works with Muse Knoxville. And you have such a cool, interesting story, just your life story getting to Muse. So first, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me, Tearsa. I'm thrilled to be here.
So first, let's just talk about for those who have never gone to Muse Knoxville, what is it?
So Muse is a nonprofit children's STEAM museum over in East Knoxville. And STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And we pride ourselves on being a museum that is based on the power of play. So it's all hands-on, it's all inquiry-based, it's all discovery-based, and it's about having fun. We want to make lifelong learners out of every child here, and that's our goal.
I love it. You all are doing it. So first, let's just talk a little bit about you. You're not from Knoxville, you're from Memphis?
I am from Memphis. I am a transplant from Memphis. Yes, born and raised there.
So your background's not necessarily, like this is not one of those lifelong goals, like I always want to be over a nonprofit. You actually were an art teacher and you're an artist?
Yes, visual artist. Went to college to be a visual artist and transformed into visual art education, K-12. Became an art teacher for a total of a decade. And that was my background. But while I was in public education, both here in Knoxville and in Denver, Colorado, I started realizing that I really wanted that leadership role, and I wanted to climb the ladder, and I wanted to make those decisions and be over budgets and all that kind of good stuff. And got into school administration, Denver Public Schools, but had my first son, Ansel, came home and landed back in Knoxville. And I think it was just the perfect timing of being in public education and then there being an opening for Director of Belonging at Muse Knoxville in the pandemic. It was really shifting a lot of things with me, and that's really how I ended up there.
You know, I don't want to skip over the part about you shifting your career focus, because I think a lot of people, need to understand that sometimes you pivot when you learn more. So you originally want to be a principal, but then you realize maybe that's not what I want to do.
Right. And much love to our public educators and our principals, but I got up there and it was just a different focus. And I think being an art teacher, a lot of my time in the classroom was spent on that love of learning and the creativity and the discovery and the self-expression and like self-empowerment and all the things that we love to do with little kids. And then a lot of that gets lost, when you do take on those roles. Right. And it was really hard at the time too, because I had a second son. And it was just really hard to be in a school and then be a parent to two really young kids during the pandemic when childcare was kind of falling apart a little bit. And
you don't have to tell it. We all know that
we all
it was
know
different
it.
then.
Yeah, it's very different. But I think it was one of those things too where I was just ready to take a leap. And nonprofit world for me has everything that public education has. My goal of filling my bucket through giving back to the community, and it's still education based, but it's also about power of play and community engagement and all these really good things that drove me as a teacher. It transferred over perfectly to Muse Knoxville. It was just the perfect position.
So when the opening was there, what was your first thought? Was it one of those like, oh, I'm gonna go for this, or was it, oh, I don't know?
Oh,
Should I?
I saw it I was just scrolling on Facebook probably like one night, saw the job posting on Muse's page because I followed them as a parent and a teacher, and they had posted a Director of Belonging position. They were really gonna work on their equity and inclusion diversity efforts. And I was like, well, that's my passion. That's kind of how I started getting into leadership in Denver Public Schools was diversifying curriculum for teachers, doing trainings across the whole state of Colorado, based on cultural relevancy in the classroom. And so I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, this is something I'm super passionate about. And especially someone who didn't necessarily grow up seeing myself represented in every single space. I wanted that. I want that for kids. It's important. Representation is everything.
Yes, it is.
It's everything. And so I was super excited to see that. And I was like, oh, I'm just going for this. We're going to see how this ends up. And it ended up really well.
So that you had a really good year that year. So that year you got the job at Muse, but you also were Teacher of the Year, I believe.
I was Teacher of the Year that year. That year before I left, got Teacher of the Year, which was such an honor.
At Christenberry.
At Christenberry, yes. So such fond memories of that, and it was really tough to leave. I think being a teacher was such a deep part of my identity. There was a part of me that was thinking, can I make this change and can I make that leap? But I think the fact that Muse is so focused, it is informal STEM education. It is all about self-discovery and making learning fun, it made the leap easy.
When a teacher gets Teacher of the Year, is that like checking something off your list? Is it like, in college, I knew I wanted that.
Yeah. Summa cum laude,
Yeah.
Teacher of the Year. Yeah. Yes. What an honor. What an honor.
Awesome. So now you're at Muse. What was it like getting started? Because this is your first executive director position. So how does one even jump right into that?
Right. It was a lot. It was tough, honestly, because, I transitioned over there in early 2021. So at this point, Muse is not open to the public most days of the week. A lot of COVID-based programming. People had been laid off. I mean, this is the story of any museum in the country at that point, especially museums that are like ours, where we want kids touching everything.
That's right.
Right? Like, you're not doing it right if you're not touching all over it. And it was really a hard line for leadership to toe on what is safe for the public and making an impact in the community, and how do you change that to make sure that you're still doing good work in such a time. And kind of even beyond that, there was a lot going on at Muse with leadership changes. I was in my position for 3 months before my predecessor, Ellie Kittrell, who is the founder of Muse, transitioned over to United Way of Greater Knoxville. And so while it was very fast and furious and really, really intense, it also made for really good conditions for me building my own team and finding that perfect team that was ready to go places together right then in the same way. And so I would do it the same if I could do it over again. It was intense, but in a good way.
I don't know if a lot of people would say that after the pandemic. I think it was a lot of, I never want to revisit that
again. Right. Probably that is true too. No, let's never go back. But for our museum, for all of those, situations to line up at the same time, it really made for great momentum, because the team is what has got us to where we are now. We have the best team at the museum. So I could not be luckier to be in my position with the team below me doing this work with me.
How do you all figure out what your impact is supposed to be? Now, you look at things like the big picture and you go, this is where we want to go.
Yes. So for us, we've been working really, really hard to track that, like tracking impact in a really meaningful way, so that we can put numbers up for ourselves and say, well, this is where we are now and this is where we want to grow. And so one of the first things that we did when I got into this role was get a proper ticket management system. We want to track where our visitors are coming from and where are our families coming from. I think there was a lot of perception that, these are just like local moms hanging out,
Okay,
right?
so the Muse was around the time when I think my son was a baby, and I always thought it was more for like stay-at-home moms. I never could make it happen because I worked.
Right.
But then you all started kind of changing and expanding over the years, more hours and getting everybody in.
Right. And so that was a big perception. We just finished our a full year of proper data tracking. And we found out that just in this past year, 22-23 fiscal year, we had families from 44 states plus Washington, D.C. come to our museum in Chilhowie Park.
I would not have expected that.
Over 700 different zip codes came to the museum. And we're just so proud of that. And so now we're like, well, now we're getting all of the states.
That's right.
How do we do that?
That's right.
Yes. So it's been really fun for us. I'm the daughter of a director of finance. So while I'm art, I also do love numbers.
Okay.
And so, I think it's really exciting to be able to put goals up for ourselves and make paths to meet them. I mean, we're thrilled for our impact so far, but it's going to be even better next year.
For those who may not have gone, maybe their kids are grown up, they're teenagers now, they haven't been in a while, you all have really expanded. You have a lot of exhibits now. I emceed your luncheon, one of your luncheons, and you brought a planetarium. Now, I had never seen this, and I walk into the room, and it's like this big blow-up tent.
Yes.
And I was like, what is that?
That thing?
But that's one of your outreach tools.
Yes. So that's our mobile planetarium. We have a planetarium on site, which is amazing. We've worked really hard to diversify our show licenses. So it's not just, stars for older kids. It's also whale migrations. It's also Sesame Street, teaching toddlers about the sky, And, but we also want to be able to take that on the road. And so we have this mobile planetarium. And it's like you said, it is a blow-up planetarium that we can put up. It's huge. It takes, when we go into schools, We say it's got to be in your gymnasium. You've got to clear everything out, and that's where this thing is going to sit. And people just go in, families go inside, and our educators run planetarium shows just like they do at the museum. And we've been really intentional with trying to fundraise for it so that we can take that out to our rural communities and places where families are not driving all the way to our museum. We're just popping it right up in their gym. It's very cool.
So that touches on, something I want to talk about, and that's your focus on, when you say diversity, inclusion, and access,
Yes.
it really is everything. Rural communities, African American communities,
Yes.
Hispanic population, non-English speaking.
Yes.
You all have done some things with that.
Yes, been working really hard because, when I got there, one of the first things I did, I was like audited. What are the languages we're providing for families in this museum? It was not good. It was Spanish just on the bathrooms, right? And it's like, that gives us a lot of room for growth. You have to start somewhere. So that's fine, but let's grow this now. And so now, all of our exhibit signage in Spanish, our posts, our website, we have a new website translatable to whatever language that you would like it to translate to.
Okay.
And all those things make our museum more accessible for families. When you think diversity, equity, inclusion, a lot of times we're talking about families that did not grow up going to museums, right? You don't know, I don't know what I don't know.
That's right.
So I don't know what it's gonna be like in there. I don't know what to expect. That makes me uncomfortable. It might make me anxious. I might not go. It's expensive. I can't spend money on that. How do I get there? All these questions that parents have, we've worked really hard to tear down those barriers and say, yeah, just come on over. It's going to be affordable for you and your family, way beyond your wildest imaginations. We're gonna make sure that we get there for you. And going back to rural communities, we're gonna come to you. You can't come to us, we will come to you. And so this past year, our outreach educators, they went to 19 different East Tennessee counties, one in Kentucky, and it's the same thing. They take hands-on curriculum, they drive out, they do these hands-on STEM lessons, we bring these mobile planetariums out, and we just do what we can. Can't come to us, we will come to you. And we're just looking to grow that.
Is it amazing to see some of the reactions of the kids who never seen anything like this, and you're bringing it to them, or they finally get to come over?
Yes, I mean, they are thrilled. We bring our robotics sets, we put them out on the floor, and we're teaching kids to code on the floor of a gymnasium in a rural county. It's the coolest thing that they've ever seen. But then it's also like so cool for their caregivers. So their caregivers have never seen this before either, likely. And so we see even cooler reactions from parents sometimes. And I think for me, one of our core values is lifelong learner. That is just so meaningful for me, because then it gives the parents that aha moment that we want from kids too. And so it's so impactful, and we're really happy to do that work.
You all just opened up the We Belong
Yes, we belong.
exhibit. Because really, this is the hot topic right now, pollinators.
Yes.
And because they're on the decline. Yes. What are you all trying to do with this exhibit?
Yes. So, our museum, if you looked at it, you had really great space on the inside. You had really great space on the right side of the museum. But the left side was just kind of this overgrown space that wasn't really utilized super well. And families didn't go out there for any reason. I think we called it our science garden, and we had some raised boxes out there, and we grew vegetables that people could take with them if they wanted. But that's really the extent that it was used for. And so when we thought about, well, we need as much space as possible, we are, busting at the seams. We've utilized every square inch of that museum as best we can. Let's use this outdoor space. We can hold classes out here, outdoor classroom. Space for robotics festivals, all the way to just more space for families to play. Okay. And so we thought, well, let's theme this around bees and pollinators, but let's have like a belonging aspect to it, because that's so important to us. Muse for All is also a core value, and we mean it. And so that whole side of the museum now is native pollinators, it's hexagon shapes, it's all about bees, bats, butterflies, and just highlighting the importance of them. I mean, they are the unsung heroes of our communities.
That's right.
And we literally need them. And so anything that we can do just to highlight their importance is important to us. So,
a lot of respect for you all when it comes to your ambassador program. I remember one of the films I saw that you all put together, and just the diversity within that group in terms of abilities.
Yes.
How do you all even make that work?
Well, we are really thrilled. We have some funding behind that program now, so it's our ambassadors program. It's one of our 2 workforce skills programs. We want to develop workforce. It's not, it's aha moments when you're little, but it's also learning skills when you are a young adult or a teen. And so Ambassadors is for disabled young adults and teenagers in the Knoxville area. It started out with just some partnerships with Fulton High School and Austin East High School, where the special education departments would come over during the day like a field trip. And then the students come on site. It's individualized. So, if a student's working on sequencing, following a list of tasks and finishing them, we're going to work on sequencing with them. If they're working on interpersonal skills and eye contact and confidence around speaking with guests, we're going to have you near the front desk or on the floor with families and things like that. If you have sensory needs and you need to be quiet, we're going to have you come in when we're, closed or during a small field trip where it's not super loud and things like that. And then, basically just monitoring progress. Are you learning skills that you can take to any job you want? If you're not, let's get them there for you. It's super important to us. But it's grown. So now we have a really good partnership with Sertoma. Sertoma's placing, employees with us. Our Place Art is another partner, and it's paid. It's paid, wow. Which is important. Upward economic mobility is part of what the program is. So we're thrilled for Ambassadors, and we love to see it. And again, just the other day we had a family has a kiddo with Down syndrome, and so they saw some of our employees and they're like, thank you. We love to see representation.
That's right.
Right? I mean, yeah, and it shouldn't be rare. That should be everywhere. It should be everywhere for families. Everyone should see themselves in the spaces they go and in the staff that they interact with at any place. That's just my feeling. And if we're not there yet, we need to work to get there. So we're thrilled for it.
What kind of leader are you?
Listen.
What's your style? We're clearly getting a glimpse of it, but what is your style?
I think my style is just really people-oriented. That's probably carrying over from being an educator for so long, and that's where my passion is. My passion is with people and community, and so I try to keep that leadership at the forefront of my mind all the time, and leading with empathy, right? And that's how we lead, and I'm not always getting it right, but I'm trying every single day, so. Yeah.
Are there any standout moments from your time at Muse, like those little moments when you think about your career, you just go, I'll never forget that?
Honestly, it's been quite a whirlwind, so I feel like there's probably 1,000 things that I could talk about right now because it has been so much so fast. But there have been a lot of standout moments. Everything from the ribbon cutting. We cut 2 ribbons that day on 2 different exhibits that at one point felt impossible to get off the floor for many different reasons. And then I blinked, and my team has executed 2 ribbon cuttings. The mayors are on site, media's on site, families are on site, and it happened. Yeah. All the way to working through my very first strategic plan and sitting down with all the stakeholders that mean something to us, all the groups, and getting the feedback and saying, hey, we're gonna go somewhere with this, and it's gonna be based on what y'all want. And, thinking about expansion has been a big part of what I've been up to this past year. And then all the way to just opening our doors up 7 days a week again for the first time after COVID. Saying, well, here goes nothing. Let's try this out. And it going well. And so, there are just so many standout moments. So many.
What's the hardest part about your job or that you've learned along the way?
Yes, I would say, I'm always growing, and my team is always growing. I really believe in the potential of my team. I think we're all very similar in that we're all in stretch roles, right? We're all stretching ourselves. We're all going somewhere new together. And it's hard sometimes, but it's also so inspirational and so innovative. We can be really innovative together. So I think for me, the hardest part of the job is just trying to find, it's every nonprofit's struggles, right? Yeah. Trying to find the most impact with the highest quality exhibits and programming and the money to do it. That's what we're focused on, but making sure that all of that is mission aligned, all of it.
I'm going to pick your brain for a little bit for parents who are always trying to make sure that their kids are advancing, and because we're always asking ourselves, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? We all do that. What do you see when the kids visit that they're in need of? What if you could tell
Yes.
parents like, hey, listen,
Yes.
you may not be able to come here every week, but let me
Right.
tell you what y'all need to focus on.
Yes, I would just say come to Muse and come to spaces like Muse, because these are the spaces that make kids fall in love with learning again. It is no surprise to anybody that our children are more stressed out than they have ever been. You know, things are becoming more standardized and more scripted. And our kiddos have been through a lot in the past few years that us as grown-ups, we didn't go through the same things that they have gone through. And so it's really hard for us to put ourselves in their shoes. And we're just watching them go through it without really knowing the implications of it. And so when these kiddos come to spaces like Muse and come to Muse, they are playing, they are relieving their stress, they are making these really good connections between and feelings between playing and learning and discovering and gaining critical thinking skills and taking risks, right, that you might not be able to do anywhere else. And though it is, you know, informal STEM education, it is so important to balance that with formal education. You know, that's how you make those aha moments, those lifelong learner moments for kids that are just so vital for them growing up and being, you know, productive workers and things like that. When did you learn that you wanted to be an engineer? When did you learn you wanted to be in construction? When did you learn that you wanted to be in conservation? Oh, because I did this as a kid, and I remember it forever. It was a core memory, you know.
That's such a relatable. I remember the moment I wanted to be a news anchor. Like
Did you?
it's a
Yes.
core memory.
Core
I
memory.
remember that lesson.
I love
First
that.
grade, Miss Jones class. Connie Chung still can see the photo.
Oh,
Like it's one of those, like you said,
yes.
it's a core memory. I said, I can do that.
I can do that.
I can do
Yes,
that.
I can do that. And it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Yes, but also keeping kids engaged with that. Don't not letting them drop off so that they forget what they can be passionate about. It's important.
Oh, I love.
Yes.
I love. What's the hardest part about running a nonprofit? Is it the funding? Gaining the funding?
Probably, because we want to do so much. We want to do so much. We want to be bigger. We want to go to more counties. We want to have more educators. We want more exhibits.
Okay.
And, you know, sometimes that's hard. It's hard to be able to get the money to do it well and to do it right and to do it in a mission-aligned way. I think any nonprofit leader would say, yep, that's definitely
Pretty high on the list.
pretty high on the list. I got to have the money to do the stuff. But you know, I think there's challenges, right? Like right now we're open 7 days a week, so there's never downtime, and that's really great for our mission. But it can also be a lot. So I would also say that it's making sure that I'm taking care of my team so that they are in their best shape to keep doing this work and keep showing up every single day, and to do it with passion and empathy. You know, those are things I try to focus on as best I can.
Do you have a favorite exhibit? Like, what's your favorite part of when you go to work? You go,
Okay,
that's my spot.
That's my spot. So it's probably twofold for me. I love our rocket ship. I'm obsessed with it. I think it is the funnest little place where adults and children go in. Immediately they're pretending.
Okay.
If we can get an adult to use their imagination and pretend for the first time in decades, that's a win for me. But I'm also an art educator at heart, so I love our make space. I love the make space.
What is that?
Area.
I don't know about the make space.
So back in the corner of our museum, it is called Make Space, and it is a creation corner. It's a creation zone, and it's everything from hot glue guns to hammers and nails to paint to random recycled materials like ramekins that a restaurant drops off that week, or paper towel rolls that a grandmother down the street has just delivered to us because she's a recycler. And kids walk out, you know, everything from a beautiful painting to origami to this little kiddo had taken like paper towel and gift wrap tubes, turned himself into a robot and like walked out of the museum like a full-on robot. And all of that is exactly what I want. I mean, anything that is creation-based is going to be my favorite. So in our next iteration of Muse, that's going to be a really big area.
What are your passions outside of this work that you do?
My passions are probably not going to shock you. I love art.
Do you still do it? Like
I'm trying to get back into it. You know, I think with my career change and having two little ones amidst a pandemic, took a pause.
Okay.
But it is, you know, it's part of me. And so I love to paint. I also am an avid gardener, have a really big home garden.
Really?
Yes, I love to garden.
So jealous.
Yes.
I can't grow. Oh man, I can't.
I
grow
just need to come
anything.
over and
You
grow some
do,
stuff
because,
with you. Yes.
Because I mean, listen, I had this beautiful garden that we put together, and I
Yes.
promise you, within like 2 months, it's all dying, and I've tried so hard. So yeah, I'm
Yes,
envious.
but gardening, playing with my kids, I try to be really focused on that work-life balance where even though my mind is going work mode
Is there
24/7,
work-life balance?
trying. If nothing else, I want my kids to see that I have paused the act of working and spend really good quality time with them. That's one of my love languages is quality time. So I try to do that as much as I can too, and just exploring, playing, being outside, trying new things, going to new restaurants. I think that Knoxville has a lot to offer. So we're always just trying to do something new.
Do you like Knoxville?
I do.
What about it makes you go, this is home, I like it?
Yes, I love Knoxville. I mean, conveniently for us, it is about halfway in between my spouse's and my family's.
Okay.
Mac's family is over kind of near Charlotte. My family's all still in Memphis. So it's convenient, it makes sense. But beyond that, I just love how pretty it is. I'm a very outdoorsy person, and I can do things here that I could never have done back home in Memphis. I'm on the river, I'm hiking up the mountains, we can camp, all these things that we can do here that I couldn't always do anywhere else. And I missed how green it is here when I was in Denver. It's very dry out there. And there were times when I was like, I miss green. I miss trees and the green. I missed kudzu at one point.
Stop it.
I did.
Because it is everywhere.
It's everywhere. And there was a point where I missed it. I think that's when I knew, oh yeah, we could go back there. And, every city has its places to grow. So I'm just trying to be part of that.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Do you have a mentorship in this role?
Yeah, so I've assigned mentors to me. Yes.
So you're basically like, and you.
And you,
You're with
and
me.
you, and you are my mentors. Of course, I look up to the founder of Muse, Ellie Kittrell. Always going to be a mentor to me, and she's who gave me this opportunity in the first place. She believed that I could do this as a young mom, new to the nonprofit world, so super thankful for that. I also really look up to Denise Dean. She is the executive director of East Tennessee Freedom Schools, and she's also the secretary of my board. So I always go to her with advice, and she guides me really, really well. And then I have a really strong peer group that are in the nonprofit world. I think all of us nonprofits have a board and probably an advisory board, but then I also have like a separate advisory board, which is other nonprofit leaders where we're just keeping in contact all the time. And Claudia Caballero from Centro Hispano.
I've had her on the show,
yes. And, just surrounding myself with mission-aligned people that are doing good work in this community. If I do that, I can't go wrong.
Do you feel like your job kind of gives you that positive outlook on life? Like, here I am contributing to something that is so beneficial to this community.
Yes, I mean, this, for us at Muse, it is a true bucket filler. I mean, we are selling the power of play. It's not a hard sell. So even when work is very tough and things come up or things fall through or we're presented with challenges, at the end of the day, in the background, I'm still hearing families play. They're playing and they're laughing and they're having fun together and they're bonding. So even in the hardest moments, that is filling my bucket. I think anytime I see those kids in our museum have those aha moments, again, bucket filled. And I can do the hardest of things in my position if we just keep having that happen too.
Do you have a favorite visitor or favorite kid? There's got to be some kid where you
goodness.
go, oh, here she comes.
Listen, so many. We have so many recurring families, and all the time I'm just like, yes, they're back. Even camps. Yes, this camp kiddo is back. Yes, great, excellent. Oh yes, so many.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. What's the big picture? Give me the big future outlook for Muse.
Yes.
As we wrap up, what would you love? What's on your wish list?
I would hope that in 5 years, everybody, at max, 3 to 5 years, people are walking into a much bigger museum, a bigger building. We are waitlisting families and we're waitlisting school groups at a wild amount. There was a few weeks ago this summer where, like the one really rainy week, we waitlisted almost 700 people Monday through Thursday during the week.
Are you serious?
I am serious. We fill up on our field trips by September each school year. It's booked for the whole year. It's physical space constraints. So that is, we're full steam ahead, pun intended.
Okay.
I practice that one on having a bigger museum so that we are not turning families away. And then bonus points if when you're in, you have the space to explore and play, and it's not too much. It's not too crowded. It's not too overstimulating. It's comfortable and it's meaningful. And so that's our goal. So when I think big picture, it is bigger space, all new exhibits, super high quality exhibits, quadruple the amount of classrooms, quadruple the amount of field trips, and then still going out into our rural counties. That's my goal.
I hope somebody sees this and writes you a check.
I know. Yes, that would be wonderful. So if we can make that happen, that would be great. Yes.
Allison, thank you so much.
Thank
you are
Tearsa.
wonderful. Thank you.
So glad to be here today. Thank you.